college football was absolutely electric this last weekend, and the AP poll got pretty interesting. There's a lot of little moves in there that are pretty unique to talk about. I just want to run off the top 10. We'll throw up the graphic right here so you can look at it and see who the top 25 are. One is Oregon. First time Oregon's been number one for, I believe, a decade. Pretty interesting. 2012,
Marcus
something
Mariota?
like that. Yeah, Marcus Mariota. Number 2, Georgia. 3, Penn State. 4, Ohio State. Longhorns bumped down from 1 to 5. Miami 6. Tennessee 7. LSU 8. Clemson 9. And Iowa State rounding out the top 10. So I just want to get everyone's initial thoughts, and then we could dive into any bigger questions we want to talk about. Mario, what was your first thoughts when you looked at this poll?
It was kind of a weird ranking because I felt like I don't know how Iowa State jumped Clemson last week. And so for them to jump Clemson was already like questionable. And then for both teams to win and then just to swap places, I felt like that was them just saying like, my bad. Let's fix this. And then, I don't know. It's hard for me to like look at Penn State play football. Like if you watch them play and then be like, yeah, they're better than Ohio State or even Texas, honestly. Like I still think Texas could beat Penn State. It'd be a close game, especially if it was at Penn State. It could be a little dicey for Quinn. But yeah, I don't know. The rankings, they make sense. But do I agree with them? No. Like, is Miami the 6th best team in the country? You're on crack.
Okay. So, Mike, what were your initial reactions?
I am confused, baffled, and
by what?
Bewildered.
By what?
It makes sense in the position.
No, by the fact, how is Indiana, the Hoosiers, shout out Hoosiers, not in the top 10? I mean, they have the number 1 scoring offense in the nation.
That's a good question.
8 weeks through college football. That is insane, undeniable, unbelievable,
Can't deny
and
it.
fantastic.
That's a good question.
It
They're
is
bracing for impact.
It is atrocious.
They didn't rank-
It is a
rank scale before he got
travesty,
hurt, or before they
and it is a
got hurt.
crime against humanity, and I'm fucking pissed about it.
Okay.
Shout out
So
Indiana.
who'd you put them over in that top 10?
Iowa State for sure.
Okay.
Who is Indiana beat?
Well, they have the number 1 scoring offense in the fucking nation.
That's the one stat.
Progressive Mike.
Yeah, no.
I mean, that shit is lit.
You're not going to want to
I'm saying you have
And
to
I
like.
think they're undefeated in the Big Ten. No, I think they lost to Penn State. But
You're going to give Ryan an aneurysm.
You just said they're undefeated.
in the Big
just-
Ten, but then they lost against Penn State. So maybe not. Maybe not undefeated.
What conference is Penn State in?
No.
What conference is
Christ.
Penn State in?
Well, Big Ten. No. I see where my mistake is.
Tell us.
You have no fucking clue what you're talking about.
I get it. I'm just saying the number, you can't argue.
They're fucking undefeated.
Yeah, you can't.
You said they
So
lost.
they haven't lost. They have to be undefeated everywhere,
how did
not
they
just in
lose?
certain spots.
No, but they lost.
To who?
Penn State, I'm pretty sure.
When?
What the f are you talking
They're
about?
undefeated. How could they have lost to a Big Ten team if they were undefeated?
Am I
Period.
talking about Illinois? Oh, maybe I'm
Illinois?
Yes,
Nah,
you're talking
you're
about
talking
Illinois.
about Illinois.
Of course, you're talking about Illinois.
Oh, yeah.
They just-
Then,
yeah.
all right, even more so. How the f is Indiana not top 10? This is criminal.
Okay.
I'm pissed.
Jesus. Well, we spent too much time on that.
Jesus Christ.
Ryan, initial thoughts. And sorry for the viewers.
How you
That was-
doing,
Holy
Ryan?
shit.
That was
Doing.
wild.
No,
Ryan
no,
actually
no.
had a seizure.
No, I almost died there. I was so.
They're undefeated in the Big Ten, but they lost to Penn State.
I was like, bro, what? It was like,
But
they're
they're
undefeated.
undefeated.
They're undefeated, but they're not. Are they first in the Big
Undefeated,
Ten?
number 1 offense.
It
Wait,
should
is
be-
it Illinois?
need
No,
to be
they lost to
top-
Penn State.
No, he said they're undefeated, but are they undefeated in the Big Ten? I don't know. Anyways, I think these rankings are almost perfect. I don't understand how Miami's above Tennessee, LSU, and Clemson. Still,
That's undefeated.
but like, so like the whole undefeated thing is that like if you're gonna put Ohio State and Texas above them, who don't have any wins, LSU and Tennessee have insanely more impressive wins than Miami does, like by a mile.
No, I agree.
And also, I would think Clemson, their only
Yeah.
loss was to Georgia. I think they're also better than. There's already better. Miami doesn't beat anyone, and they also haven't looked impressive.
No.
So it's not just
That-
and that's the way why I see Indiana at 13. That's why I don't mind it if Miami was down more, because like these teams that are undefeated, I don't mind if they rank them high as long as you beat teams. You on the road and beat a good team or a ranked team, or you stay at home and run. You know what I mean? Like you have to win games. Tennessee, LSU, and Clemson have all done that. So I don't know. My only thing was Miami. The rest, it's gonna work itself out. So I don't mind.
Yeah, my initial thoughts. So I take these rankings for what they are. Oregon deserves to be number 1
100%,
currently
yeah.
based on their record. I think Georgia is clearly the best team in college football. But that's not what these rankings are about. This isn't about ranking the 25 best teams.
Yeah, of course not.
That's what the college football playoff rankings are for. Yeah. So I think those will look significantly different. And then something jumped out to me like it did to Mario. Penn State is clearly a placeholder here, as this team reminds me a lot, if you guys were watching football back in 2021, of the 2021 Penn State team that reached AP number 4 midway through October. During that season, it was pretty much a consensus belief that this Penn State team was really, really, really bad, and James Franklin was just somehow holding the shit together. And they went on to end the season 7-6 and dropped completely out of the top 25. So I'm not saying they're going to end up 7-6 or whatever, but when I'm watching this Penn State team, I get flashbacks of looking at that Penn State team with the 4 ranking next to them and watching them play, and just these two things not adding up.
I disagree.
There's no way.
I disagree.
Why?
I think Penn State.
better than that.
Yeah, I think Penn State has an actually formidable team. This
Yeah,
year.
I mean,
don't
you have
think
to be formidable, but I'm saying
They're not the number 3.
They're not. When you see the 3 and then you watch Penn State play, and
You're like, is someone injured?
yeah, they're just
Who's just the backup?
who's out
Yeah.
for this team? There's no way. And then also Vandy at 25, absolutely badass. Yeah, shout out Vandy.
I love that.
Army, Navy, Vandy, 23,
No.
24, 25. Pump that into
the
my
whole
fucking
trinity
veins.
around
And
that.
And SMU?
yeah,
That's
I
what
know.
he-
That's fair. I love it. And then I wanted to bring up a question about Texas, and I love your Indiana take because I want to go through some scenarios. First off, I want to bring it up because it's our two teams. Why the is Texas ranked ahead of Clemson?
because our
No. I am going to present the stats, and then I'll go ahead and get into it.
Sure.
Clemson
Yeah.
in week 1 had one bad half against Georgia. In the first half, we were down 3 points. We were outscored 28-3 in the second half of week 1's game on the road. Since then, it's blown out every team and has been one of the hottest teams in football. We beat App State by 46, NC State by 24, Stanford by 26, Florida State by 16 in Florida State, Wake Forest by 35, and Virginia by 17. Texas had in week 8 a bad half against Georgia, outscored 23-0, and then this is not also, Clemson's week 1, this is week 8. They have not beat a team that is currently ranked. Their entire ranking hinged on the fact that, Michigan was going to be a good win.
Oklahoma.
Michigan and Oklahoma were going to be good wins. Those are proven not true. Michigan hasn't beat a team currently better than 4-3. They're completely out of the rankings. They beat Colorado State by 52, Michigan by 19, UTSA by 49, UL Monroe by 48, Mississippi State by 22, Oklahoma by 31. So, the more recent loss to Georgia being blown out at home where Clemson was week 1 in Atlanta, Clemson has the 7th highest scoring offense in the country, Texas the 11th. Cade is the top 5 Heisman odds. Quinn's fallen out of the top 10. There's absolutely no reason this Texas team should be ranked higher right now than this Clemson team. And I want to also say, this is not just about Clemson. There is no reason they should be ranked higher than Tennessee, LSU, Iowa State, or Indiana as well. Those are my teams, and I think Clemson has the strongest case just because we played the same team, but it was at different times of the year, and ours was in Atlanta, yours was in Texas. Now I'll open it up to you, whatever you want to say, but that was my case.
You asked me on that second half.
What do you mean I lost you?
You asked me in the part where you said Tennessee should be above us. We lost to Georgia. Tennessee lost to fucking Arkansas.
Who'd you beat?
We
Who have you beat?
Michigan, Oklahoma.
Michigan, Oklahoma,
That one's tough.
Okay,
Okay,
who
again.
does Tennessee beat?
Alabama.
And, other SEC teams.
Sure.
I'm just saying.
Again, the reason why, it's what we talked about the last time we actually talked about AP polls, which is, everything is kind of based off that preseason ranking, whether it's, good or like for better or for worse, which obviously I think most of us are on the consensus of it's probably for worse. And that's why we are all just anxiously waiting for the college football playoff rankings. But again, if you're going to go off of, why is it where it's at now, I would probably say it's, if we're looking at the head-to-head case of Clemson versus Texas, well, you're right. We both had bad halves against Georgia, against the same team. When you look at the second halves, I would say we have better second half considering we were 15
Well, our
points.
bad
You put up
half
0.
was the second half. Our good half was the first half.
Yeah, but you still had 0 points on.
No, I'm saying you just said let's look at the second halves of those games. I'm saying your good half was your second half.
I see what you're
We
saying.
started well against Georgia. You started terribly against Georgia.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, again, I think if we're looking at, the better half of each team against the game, I think we would
Texas
have
better
probably
both
have a
ways.
better half.
I mean, Texas
But,
outscored Georgia in the second half. Their good half. You guys still were.
They played it at
That's-
home.
No,
They
I
had
know.
a home night game
I believe me.
in week 8
Do
as
I think-
opposed to
Do I
a-
think
a-
Texas,
Atlanta
if they
game.
went to Death Valley, do I think Texas would win right now? No. But do I get why Texas is ranked ahead of Clemson?
No, I-
Well,
yeah, it makes sense.
well,
Because
moving-
both teams at the
I
end of the
think
day
so-
haven't played anyone.
But I think the reason Texas
And
was
they-
Texas was artificially held at 1 while Oklahoma and Michigan stayed ranked.
Dude, no, it's-
in 1 week Oklahoma, Michigan fell out of the rankings and they lost.
I see
That's
what
like a quadruple bogey on the strength of their record already
Yeah.
and their loss column.
Dude, I see what you're saying, but it's also exactly what Mario's saying, which is, both of us played the other 6 games were all against pretty much nothing teams, and statistically on paper,
We're the better team.
on offense you were a little bit better. On
Correct.
defense, we were the number 1 country in every statistical category besides this past week. Or before this past week. So that is exactly
And
why.
they were ranked number
and then
1.
still going after this week, we're still higher than
think
you
that- I think-
defensively in every single
I think it makes-
statistical
That's not
category.
true, but that's fine.
I think it makes sense, the ranking.
Yeah.
I think they're all placeholders.
I
Yeah,
agree with
everything's
that,
a
but I'm just
placeholder.
saying,
Nothing
matters. Yeah, I
I'm
would
saying
say,
everything
yeah.
was like that one was really, really, really hinging on Michigan and Oklahoma being somewhat impressive wins.
Well, yeah, again, it's
And
what
so
I said.
when that falls apart, I think the case for every other team, like if you look at just Tennessee, for example, Tennessee's beat NC State, a shared win at Oklahoma. They beat Florida and Alabama. Like, Texas doesn't have any wins close to 3 of those wins.
I mean, dude, that's just unfortunate that we didn't get to see them in our schedule yet. I mean, you can't blame us for the
I
way
agree.
that our schedule
And
played
when
out.
you do play those teams, that's when the ranking should adjust.
So again,
Wait.
are you going to count it against us that
It's not
once
counting against you, it's accurately
but,
ranking.
but you're going to count it against us when we beat Vandy, which is going into this week. It's technically considered a top 25 ranked matchup.
That'll be your
But then
hardest
after we win, we kick them out of the top 25. So then you're going to go, oh, it was actually irrelevant. It's not a top 25 matchup.
I don't know if you know
You
how
can make
they-
the same argument with every.
That's actually how they do the end of season strength of schedule, though.
That's
It's not me. That's how it works. You at the end of the year, they look at where the teams are and how you played against the teams and how strong those teams are at the end
Well,
of the year.
I mean, that's-
so if you beat Vandy and they follow the top 25, yes, that is no longer a current top 25 win. That is
Yes.
how that works.
That's
That's not
actually
me
how it
making up the rules
again,
on that.
If Michigan's ranked 4 preseason and you blow them out week 1,
And then they go lose 6
If they
games.
go
Yeah,
pull
it's not
Florida
a-
State,
Yeah.
that's not a ranked win.
No.
again, like I said, to start all of, like my rebuttal is that, the reason why we have such a problem with the AP poll is because of its hingency on the preseason rankings. And because of that, we're kind of in this debacle and this debate right now.
Yeah.
But, at the end of the day,
You just have to look at it at merit. That's all I'm asking. I'm not asking to look at where they started in the preseason rankings. I'm saying
So, I mean, at
you look at
merit-
a team. You look at a team like LSU and Tennessee. LSU, Tennessee, and Texas all have losses. LSU is currently undefeated in the SEC. Their only loss is Week 1 in a neutral site against a bad SC team by 1 score, and then they haven't lost a game since and are undefeated in the SEC. In my opinion, that is more impressive than beating everyone as preseason ranked 1 and then getting blown out at home by your first real competition. Like, I don't see a world where LSU's schedule isn't more impressive right now, or strength of record is more impressive right now than Texas. No way.
I think.
I kind of agree with the fact that, LSU should probably be ahead of us. I mean, also given the fact that LSU is ahead of us in SEC standings, should probably have some kind of correlation with the AP poll.
I think you guys are. AP poll is also a futuristic look. So they're gonna look at where their schedules are lined up, and they're gonna know. I believe that LSU is a harder schedule than Texas.
do.
So if they
For
switched
sure.
them,
We do.
For sure.
So I'm saying if they switched them, it'd be so much harder to rank them end of the year.
I don't think it's like a forward look.
I think they
Well, I mean,
100%
if
helps.
they-
if
Like
that's
Clemson
the
plays
case, then I
nobody.
think that's a
so it'd be
great
so much
argument.
harder to rank. So if you rank Texas below Clemson right now, Clemson wins out and Texas wins out. Texas should jump above Clemson for sure. But why? Clemson is undefeated in the ACC or whatever.
It's kind of like the thing you said about Iowa State and Clemson going back and forth. It's like, how do you even do that?
Yeah.
Like,
It should have been like that last week. I felt like they just did like a little stat correction, but but it made no sense to switch it after they kept it like that
Yeah.
last week.
No, I think these are. I do like and find solace in the fact that everything plays itself out.
Yeah.
But it
matters at the end.
it does kind of though, because like we said, you drop a certain amount from your ranking in a loss, right? So Penn State at 3, they lose a game or two, like they lose one game, they're still in the top 10 probably.
Of course.
Yeah.
And so they don't have that difficult of a schedule because they don't play Ohio State. I mean, they don't play Oregon. Sorry, they only play Ohio State. So when they lose to Ohio State and then beat the rest of the Big Ten teams and end the season with one loss, they're going to get in over some of these teams I think are, arguably more deserving, like currently, in the Indianas of the world. Or I don't know if they end up playing Penn State, actually.
No.
I think there's a good chance.
Or a team like, an A&M or someone who's really grinding in it. Like, A&M has a fucking hard schedule when they play, I want to say, they play Texas and they play LSU.
Yeah.
Like, Penn State doesn't do that. So I think, putting teams like that up that high, like having Penn State at 3 and Indiana at 13, kind of mind-boggling to me. And Iowa
Wait,
State.
then I argue Miami. Like, does Miami not the exact same case?
Well,
No,
I think
no,
all the
no.
undefeated teams should be around each other, and then if one team is the rest of it's off of stats and eye test or whatever. But I think it's kind of weird for a team that is undefeated, hasn't really played that many teams, and a team that's undefeated hasn't really played that many teams, and they're both in Power 4 conferences to be that significantly different ranked. It's just kind of strange to
3
me.
and 6.
I don't know. Pitt at what's Pitt? 19 when they're undefeated is also kind of strange considering, Iowa State and Pitt probably have played similar strength of schedule so far. I know Pitt ends up playing Clemson, so they're kind of just going to wait till they can knock them out. But there's a lot of weird things in this schedule that
No, it is for sure. I think those teams like a Miami are on a very short leash, given that they know okay, this team.
they get yanked if they lost.
Yeah, if they lose, if Miami loses a game, like Clemson, or if Texas lost to Georgia, they drop 4 spots, whatever, down to number 5. But if Miami loses any game, I think they're out of the top.
Well, it's because
15.
their schedule
Probably.
is so assumed easy.
That's my whole point. Whereas but that's why it's hard for Penn State if they just run the table
I still think
they
they could-
should, and then they only lose to the number 4 ranked team in the nation. Then they're still gonna be.
Yeah, it's an interesting spot. I mean, that's kind of the ideal schedule,
But
right?
if they
if
if
you're
they end
making
with
up
2
schedules,
losses, if they lose in the Big Ten
No, but if
championship,
Penn
Yeah, you
State,
give
no,
yourself
if Penn
one
State doesn't
really,
play in the Big
really
Ten
hard-
championship,
and then that's an excuse
They
game,
don't?
like Clemson.
Yeah.
I was
kind
saying
of.
if they
Honestly,
don't
it's kind of the nut
lose to
schedule.
Ohio State
Start
and they
week
don't
1.
play, and you also you didn't make conference championship and they drop down to 11 or 12 right before the end, I think they'll get kicked out even with 1 loss.
You think a one-loss Penn State team could miss it? I
they
hope so.
don't make
I
the
fucking
Big
hope
Ten
so.
if they don't make the Big Ten,
Which I'm
championship,
saying, if they lose to Ohio State,
Uh-huh.
Ohio State runs the table, Oregon runs the table. It's all Oregon versus Ohio State.
yeah,
So,
Yeah,
like,
but that's assuming there's only 2 Big Ten teams making it in.
to the
mean,
Big Ten
to the
to the
championship.
Big Ten championship.
No, but 2 Big Ten teams making it into the
It would be in the
College football
college football
playoff.
playoff.
No matter
probably.
what, there's a 99.9% chance.
that there's
Oh,
only
dude,
2.
yeah, I mean, I just
That
looked
there
at-
will be 2.
So I actually think it has a lot to do with how Penn State plays
gonna
Ohio
be-
State.
Yeah,
So
They're either going to go to
And I
10
think-
or
I
11,
think there's
or they're
gonna be a
stay at
lot
7.
more than 2
If they win by,
teams
if they lose by 7, they probably
from
stay
the
at
Big
7.
Ten
Oh,
going
yeah.
in. I'd probably say it's going to be Oregon, Penn State, Ohio State, and then also if Indiana wins out, then probably Indiana.
Indiana has to play Ohio State.
Give them 4 and then give
They have to play Ohio
SEC
State.
5.
they have to play Ohio State.
I mean, I think I'd lay you 20-1. There's not 4 Big Ten teams in the college football playoffs. You run those numbers. There's only 7 spots to get teams. If 3 of those 7 are fucking Big Ten, I think the
Are we
country's going to
confirming
riot.
that there's going to be 5 SEC teams?
What do you mean?
You said there's only 7 spots.
Yeah. There's
7
5
spots.
of the
after.
12 are the conference champions.
Yeah. Oh, you're right.
We'll
yeah.
see how it pans out.
I see
It'll
what
be a
you're
fun next couple 3-4 weeks before.
Yeah,
AP
it's going to
poll
be
gets loose.
interesting. I mean, as these polls come out, when's the first college football rankings?
Isn't it 12
I'm going to look it up.
or 11?
I want to say Tuesday, November 5th.
Oh my
All right,
god.
so we have
So,
2
week
weeks.
12.
2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
2 weeks until the first college football playoff
Wait, isn't
rankings
that
come.
election
Wait,
night?
November 5th is
That's
the
election
That's
night.
on a Tuesday.
That's the day after
Oh
election day,
my.
right? Or is that election
Oh
day?
my
Fifth
god.
is- oh my God.
The,
But that's on a
the
Tuesday.
country might be going to
Oh my God.
erupt.
Dude,
The
we're
country
getting
might literally
college
erupt.
football and the presidential election outcome on the
Dude,
same
we get
night.
Trump and Clemson ranked 1 in the
Oh
same
my.
day. This is about to be.
You think so?
No chance.
This is about to
No
be
chance.
electric.
Kamala and Penn State ranked 1. Tyler killed.
Fuck no. If it's Kamala and Penn State, I will not be appearing on the
I think
podcast.
you'd be surprised.
What? Penn State won?
No. Kamala won.
You think Kamala's gonna win?
It's long 2 weeks.
They're gonna pull some.
We'll see what happens. But yeah, until then, only 2 more weeks of AP polls, and you're gonna keep hearing about it from us.